You've gotten an immunity to them?
I mean, I'm serious. I'll drink 6 of them a day and I still feel like I want to take a nap. So
that amazes me. And you'll drink them at like...
I mean, I've already had a Monster on the way in. This is number 2. So, and a thing of tea from McDonald's.
Wow. It surprises me whenever you have it at like, 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, evening.
Oh, I could get home and go straight to sleep if I wanted to.
That's
I'm
crazy.
saying I don't know. That's stupid because it's not like there's a different version of caffeine, but yep, this will do.
Welcome back into another episode of Where the Game Lives On, the official podcast of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, East Stand Mutual Drive here in Springfield, Missouri. Carson Wentz signed with the Chiefs. You hear that?
I did not.
This is where if you were like me, this is where you would think I would say April Fool's, but it's not. Yahoo Sports reported it. I was very surprised by it.
That's funny.
It came out of nowhere, but I guess they haven't really had a backup since.
Well,
what is it?
I guess Chiefs fans should probably just hope that it never gets to that point. So
I think they had Blaine Gabbert, right?
Yeah,
man,
he's not there anymore.
Well, he definitely won't be the backup over Wentz. I don't think. I don't know if he's still there or not. I don't really call that much of a backup, though. I think he's a decent player. He's probably an NFL backup quarterback. I'll tell you this. I remember
those who listen to the show know that I'm from Indianapolis and I'm a Colts fan, and we had Carson Wentz as a starter for an entire season. So yeah. I'm not.
He's had his ups and downs. He has.
I actually thought, honestly, when they signed him, this is 3-4 years ago, when they signed him, I was thinking, well, the guy was an MVP caliber the year they won the Super Bowl in Philly, and
yeah.
That's not what
that's not what you got.
That's not what you got. That's not what you got anymore. So,
well,
good for the Chiefs.
I think he's an up from Gabbert, and you're right. They probably should just hope that it never gets to that. The one thing I always think about with Blaine Gabbert, I remember going to a Mizzou game early on when he was a starter, and there were Gabbert for Heisman shirts, and I thought,
well, let's go back.
Was he that good?
A couple sentences. First of all, I don't care who the Chiefs' backup is. The Chiefs better hope it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Gabbert had a heck of a season, his last season in Columbia.
Did he?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know that he deserved to win the Heisman, but I mean, it was certainly good enough that they could push.
He was after Chase Daniel.
I don't remember.
I think he was. It would have been 2012, 2013 in there, I want to say. There's Gabbert older than that.
They kind of all run together because you had Drew Lock in there, you had Gabbert, you had Chase Daniel,
Matty Mock, baby.
Matty Mock. I mean, they all kind of. I don't remember who was when, and James Franklin was before, and Brad Smith was the OG, and I don't remember. The order.
You have a good weekend, good Easter weekend.
Yes, yes. I don't really recall what I did, but yes.
Get out and play some golf.
I did not. I've not played any golf this year. I will play. On Sunday, we will leave for the Final Four. On Friday, the Hall of Fame hosts a breakfast every year on Saturday in conjunction with the Missouri Basketball Coaches Association. So we'll do that on Saturday. But Rico, former guest here on the podcast, the rules official, our PGA Tour rules official, he has connections that he's showing off. So he's got us a tee time at a course out in the Scottsdale area that's supposedly we can't get on otherwise. So we have to act like we know and like Rico when we're there, I guess. So.
He was out forwarding the club car this past weekend.
Yes.
Savannah, Georgia.
And I
talked to him.
Kind of funny. Last year at this time, Taylor and Carrie and I went to the club car.
Yep.
The tour had several tournaments come down and kind of, meet up and see some things. And that's actually where we got the idea for what's happening this year at our tournament, the Price Cutter, the upgraded sky boxes and all of that started last year. So
yeah, that's exciting stuff. Rico forwards a lot of really good tournaments. There's one in July that's worth mentioning in Springfield, Missouri here. But no, you're right. There's a lot of changes that'll be coming. I didn't think we'd get on the Price Cutter today, but there you go. There you go. There's a lot of good changes that'll be coming for
back
people.
To the weekend. No, I did not golf. Did you?
No. Family guy this weekend. A lot of family gatherings. Next weekend too. I got to help people move.
Easter, yeah. We had, church, of course, and then did a nice lunch. And
you do the sunrise service?
I've done sunrise services before, but we did not.
Your kiddos still do the Easter egg hunt?
Yes, and I mean, they'll probably do it when they're adults. My in-laws' family, they're very traditional in different things, but all the grandkids, there's 9 of them. There were 7 that were there on Sunday, and they hunt the plastic eggs, but each egg has a quarter or $1 bill in it or something, and so they're limited to a certain number of eggs. And then they get done, and they have to open it and count their haul. So.
My family's my generation of my family, we're all in our late 20s, early 30s. So no Easter egg hunts for us. The kiddos did an Easter egg hunt. We ended up playing an adult game of wiffle ball, though.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just a spur of the moment thing. Like,
those are the best.
I didn't have that on my Easter bingo card, but that's what we ended up doing. So, but yeah, it's Easter's always a good one. It was early this year.
Very.
Weather was nice though.
Yeah, usually it seems like it's in April, usually, but
yeah,
it's definitely.
I never know. It has to do something with
the moon.
The moon, and it's weird. That's weird, but. The eclipse coming up. Got an eclipse coming up.
April 8th. Is that right?
Yeah.
I saw a sign coming down 44 on the way in today that said solar eclipse April 8th, plan ahead or something. So
yeah, you don't want to be like driving during it and stuff is what they say.
I thought it was just because people were trying to get to wherever it was happening at. So.
It's going to be, it's a little.
Is it West Plains?
Yeah, it's a little southeast of us, but like in northern Arkansas and stuff.
I was thinking that West Plains it would go right over the top of West Plains or
That's
somewhere,
about right.
Somewhere close by. Or something.
I think even from here in the Ozarks, we'll have a almost complete or a full solar. I don't know what they call that, a full solar eclipse or a complete solar eclipse, but. Final Four too this past weekend. You watch any of those games?
I didn't. I mean, I certainly didn't watch start to finish, but I certainly paid attention. Oh my gosh, UConn playing Illinois. Illinois is a good basketball team.
Yeah,
and they put a 30-0 run on them. That is
can't win.
Believable.
Can't win doing that.
UConn's good. I wasn't watching that game, but I saw that it was like a 5-point game at halftime, and then I saw the final score, and I'm like, whoa, that was they beat the brakes off of them. But I can't believe a 30-0 run on a legit Power 5 team. That's unbelievable. But so that was impressive. Alabama, watched them against Clemson.
They can shoot it. They can shoot it.
They are, I mean, they if they get hot, they can beat anybody. So that's their first Final Four in basketball. So that was whatever. And then Sunday was the big day because it was a good day for me as a Kentucky fan. Tennessee and Duke both lost. So that was a good thing. But honest to goodness, I grew up in Indiana in the middle of the Bob Knight era when he was king and they were winning national titles and Purdue was little brother. And so I never really liked Indiana and always kind of rooted for Purdue. And of course they've been the choke artists the last several years, losing in the first round, lost to a 16 seed last year.
Yeah.
The year that Virginia won it, they beat Purdue in the Elite Eight.
Right.
Purdue should have gone to the Final Four. Then they haven't been to a Final Four since 1980.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not a Purdue fan, but I'm certainly, I was happy to see them win. I don't know how you guard Zach Edey. It depends on the officials. If you get the officials that are going to call some fouls, I know Tennessee fans were complaining big time about the discrepancy in foul count. And so there's that. Purdue, of course, in as a 1 seed from that bracket. And the last team, North Carolina State, which I did not see them beating Duke, but it makes me happy. How can you not root for, is it DJ Jones? Is that his name?
DJ Burns Jr.
DJ Burns Jr. He was having fun. He was having some fun.
Yeah.
So
he reminds me of Zach Randolph.
Yeah. He does
kind of has a face up game. Kind of can shoot the mid ranger,
lefty.
I think if you're asking me, and he's not going to get drafted, I don't think he will. But I think if you're asking me, I think his game could possibly translate to the NBA better than a Zach Edey, because Edey has one move. It's a back down hook.
Well, and 10 years ago, 20 years ago, Zach Edey's a number 1 draft pick.
But you've got 7-footers all over the floor. He's
not jumping out to shoot 3-pointers. He can't dribble down the floor like some of the 7, like Kevin Durant and company, but he'll get drafted and he'll make some money playing basketball, but he's not going to be
He'll have to be. I don't see him developing a 3-point game.
No.
So he will have to be a guy that can get you offensive boards, get you 3-4 blocks a game. That's how he'll be a contributor.
He's a rebound kick guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love watching the Burns kid though, because
he just played with so much joy. He had some move that was like a scoop shot, something, and he was just laughing, running down the floor. I mean, there's still 7-8 minutes left, and he's just having a good time playing basketball.
He starts. Rarely gets the tip. Definitely won't get the tip against Edie. But I say that, we'll see.
Yeah.
But he goes as hard as he can. And then they just sit him for 6 minutes.
Unbelievable. Have you seen? I mean, like their last 4 games of the regular season, they got beat. They lost all 4 games, including to Duke. They lost to, so they're going into the ACC tournament like the 10 seed.
Yeah.
On a 4-game losing streak, at least 4. They may have lost more than that. And first game of the ACC tournament, they're losing in the second half to a 4-win or 8-win Louisville team.
Yeah.
And then they win 5 games in a row. They beat Duke. They beat North Carolina. They win the ACC. They beat Virginia on a last second. So there's another thing. You're in the semifinals or the quarters or whatever, the ACC tournament against Virginia. They're down 3. Virginia's got an 85% free throw shooter on the line to seal the game with less than 4 seconds left.
Yeah.
Misses it. They go down, bank in a 3 to tie, go to overtime. They win the game, go on, they get in the tournament, and then now they're going to the Final Four.
Shout out to my pops, who is in first place in our Missouri Sports Hall of Fame Bracket Challenge.
Yes.
He has NC State in his Final Four. Also, shout out to my fiance Holiday, who has NC State winning the bracket. Who would have thought that? All right. And she said she knows ball. She does. But she told me, she goes, I looked into it. I listened to Jay Billis a little bit. Sometimes you just got to get a hot team. And I was like, I'm sitting there before the tournament starts. And I'm like, okay, we'll see. And she showed me. I was sitting here last week talking about how, I got 12 of the 16 right for the, and then the second weekend of the tournament just destroyed my bracket. Just destroyed it. I had Illinois out. I didn't have Clemson or Bama. I think I had UNC coming out of that bracket out. Ended up having Tennessee beating Purdue out. And then, of course, I didn't have NC State. I think I had Duke coming out of that region. My
Final Four was UConn, Arizona, Houston, and Purdue, with Purdue beating UConn in the title. So I got half, and then I've got my title game left.
2 of 4.
But it doesn't matter because the rest of the bracket
it's good trash.
It's too late.
Trash it. I've been more impressed with the women's. The intensity of the women's and the competition of the women's bracket.
I didn't watch the game the other night. Probably the game of the year in women's basketball. I guess the rematch of the last year's
on Monday night. Yeah,
was it? I guess did they play in the title game last year? Iowa and LSU. I know LSU won it. It was the title game.
I can't remember.
It was. Yeah, LSU. It was the whole Angel Reese face whatever ring deal.
But, Caitlin Clark got a revenge.
So yeah, I mean, Caitlin. I saw some highlights on Twitter, X, whatever, that of course she's pulling up from right past half court and had like 30-some at halftime. And so it was.
I'll say this as diligently as I can. You watch her on the floor and she just has a different gear that the other girls don't ever reach. She just moves differently than a lot of the girls on the floor, and her ability to, she's so multifaceted. She can get to the bucket. She can shoot off the dribble.
And also pass the ball, which is you don't really hear a lot about. But I mean, she sees the floor very well. But
she's had a lot of her teammates step up too. She had 2 other guards in that game against LSU. One had 18, another one had 21. That's the kind of assistance that you need whenever you get into those big games.
I don't know if we talked about it on here last week or not, but speaking of Caitlin Clark, so if you're her, do you go number 1 to the WNBA and make $76,000 a year and have a lengthy WNBA career with endorsements everywhere? I mean, she's already with State Farm and who knows what else.
She's the number 4 NIL athlete right now.
Or do you take $5 million from Ice Cube and the 3-on-3 league, and you're playing against men, like grown men.
Yeah, retired NBA guys.
$5 million. Or there's also a $10 million, and I'm not sure how serious it is, but a $10 million offer from the Barstool guy at Portnoy for an intramural league or something. So what do you do if you're Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I'm not going to get political on this podcast in terms of, if she were to play in the big three or whatever have you. If you're asking me, you go to the WNBA, you're the first overall pick. You make your money, obviously, off of endorsements. And you're going to have all kinds of deals that go that way.
Millions.
But she's going to be such an advocate for the women's game and trying to grow that game because she's already taken the basketball world by storm in college.
Yeah.
And
obviously, I know a lot of Indiana Fever fans, they have the number 1 pick. So I know they're already counting their chickens before they're hatched.
Yeah. But I think, and you're talking about the numbers, right? I think she's making more now, right, in college with NIL than she probably will be her first few years in the WNBA. But I think it would be more important for her to be an advocate for that game and take your, whatever you said, $76,000 base salary. I did notice
on the State Farm commercial, and it's been all over the tournament, where the couple's in the wreck and they say something about shoot. And then all of a sudden she appears. Well, she's wearing an Iowa jersey. Instead of just being dressed in, whatever, she's wearing an Iowa jersey. And then like Reggie Miller comes in and they're talking about like insuring a Pacer, an old Pacer. And
somebody asked for an old Pacer?
And he's not wearing a Pacer jersey. He's just Reggie Miller. And so I thought it was interesting that they're kind of introducing her to the rest of America as she plays for Iowa. But they don't have to say.
Jimmy Butler's on that commercial as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not wearing a jersey or anything. So
no.
Anyway.
You're right. This year though, I think I've seen more promotion, definitely like whether it's been just the tournament, the women's tournament, women's brackets, filling out those. You talk about her especially, but then Paige Becker and Angel Reese and some of these other big name girls in college basketball. It's definitely gained some traction, I think, in my book in terms of the attention that they're receiving. Yeah. And you watch some of those gals play and they can get buckets. They're good. So it'll be interesting to see how that Final Four shapes up and how the men's shapes up as well. You guys are going to be in Phoenix. Taylor Frederick, our director of ops, told me that he's like, do I feel bad saying that I don't want to see an Alabama NC State championship?
I mean, for entertainment purposes only, I would love to see UConn and Purdue, just as they, along with Houston, were probably the 3 teams all year long that were kind of a step above everybody else. And so I think basketball, I don't know if purist is the right word, but for the sake of the best game and the best teams, that's probably who you want. But, whatever. Yeah.
What about NC State, though? Only school, or no, UConn as well. NC State and UConn, men's and women's teams reaching the Final Four. That's a pretty big feat.
Yes. I think it's happened. Well, I just saw something. There was a Northwestern State in Division II level. Their men's and women's team won national championships. And that's only happened. I know UConn did it one year, men's and women's. But anyway, we did have some big news in the coaching world with obviously, like we spoke about it last week, but Konzo Martin is official now at Missouri State. And then, of course, soon to be Missouri Sports Hall of Fame inductee Ben McCollum takes over at Drake. He's from Iowa, so that's official now as well. And obviously, he's going in the Hall of Fame on May 19th. Ben McCollum is, and certainly deserving 4 national championships at Northwest Missouri State, and probably would have been 5 if COVID hadn't have happened. They were 31-1, the number 1 seed, and were rolling when the tournament was ended. So. Anyway, congrats to those both of those gentlemen. Of course, Konzo, I've seen the billboards around Springfield, welcome home, Zo.
Really?
Already that were up before the press conference on, I think it was Monday, I guess it was the press conference. So
very cool.
Anyway, some coaching news in the state of Missouri.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll see. Who do you want? Who do you want to win the men's?
Final Four? Yeah. Purdue. Without question. I mean, like I said, I grew up, they were kind of little brother growing up. So I'd love to see Purdue win it.
I think I said it back on when we had Michael Watson on the podcast that if there was a year for Purdue to win it, I think it was this year. That being said, looking at the Final Four now, I'd love to see NC State win it. I don't know if they can, but a Purdue UConn championship would be very, very electric for sure.
I want Purdue to win it. If NC State beats Purdue, I will root for NC State versus whoever they're playing.
Yeah,
The last team I want to win is UConn.
Back to back.
I just don't like UConn.
Yeah.
Well, it all goes back to 2014. Kentucky went on a run, made it to the championship game against UConn.
Gotcha.
And there was he was not there on Saturday on the semifinal games, but when UConn won, the seats behind us, there was a UConn fan that all he did the entire championship game was walk back and forth behind us. He was drunk and he did not shut up. Like he believed, I mean, we were nosebleeds and he believed that the team could hear what he was saying.
Yeah.
And he was yelled and he was obnoxious and apparently represents all of UConn fandom. So anyway, I'm just not a UConn fan.
On the women's side, I'm rooting for Caitlin Clark. Not even Iowa. I'm rooting for Caitlin Clark.
I'd love to
AKA Haley Penner.
I would, yes, Haley Penner. Shout out, Haley Penner. Do you listen to Where the Game Lives On yet?
A new employee of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, oddly resembles Caitlin Clark. So it's been a running joke for us that she's not going to the Big Three. She's not going to the WNBA.
She's going to the Hall of Fame.
She's going to the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. So basketball. We've been talking basketball. Baseball's back.
Yep.
That's probably means more to me than you. But
there's probably a lot of teams that are already eliminated from playoff contention.
Well, the Cardinals opened up this season. It wasn't the Dodgers opener because they were in Korea to open it. They didn't get swept, but they had a chance to split the series with them on Sunday Night Baseball. And the Dodgers are never out of a game. No, out of a game. Max Muncy was...
I just don't like baseball.
Max Muncy was on a rest. They decided to rest him on Sunday. Playing. Yeah. And then he ends up coming in the 8th inning down a run. They kind of fought back. It was 4-3. He pinch hits a 2-run bomb in the 8th inning. And it's like, yeah, well, not everybody has a Max Muncy coming off their bench for a pinch hit, but the Cardinals, I thought, didn't look bad. They won Monday in San Diego as well.
And see, I haven't watched a single inning yet, but just following it on Twitter, X, you would think that they hadn't won a game all year and had been beaten by 10 runs and that their pitchers had given up a home run to everybody. That's what it seems like on social media. So that just
Redbird Nation has high expectations, and especially coming off the year they had last year.
Yeah, and I'm just basing it off of they didn't go get pitching and Mazalak this and extension why this and sell the team. I mean, it was just reading social media. You would think that they had not won a game and had been blown out. And I knew they were playing the Dodgers, which the thing I don't like about baseball, when I say I don't like baseball, I don't like the disparity in salary. I mean, like that you got teams like the Dodgers that are buying every
$1 billion
good player.
The
teams like the Royals, I know they won a World Series in 14, 15, whatever it was, but Pittsburgh and those teams are just they can't compete.
It's very early, very
stuff.
early, but the Royals have gotten off to a decent start.
Mm-hmm.
Decent start.
Yeah.
But you look at a team like the Dodgers, and I'll go ahead and say it. I think that they have potential to set a single season wins record. That's just, they're that good. They have that much pitching. But the Cardinals, I think, held their own against them. I'll say this: Springfield product came through the AA organization here. Victor Scott.
Yeah.
He has gotten the start here at the beginning of the season because Dylan Carlson has kind of been hurt. With what I've seen from him so far, I think it's going to be hard not only to send him back down, but to keep him out of the starting lineup. His speed is so elite.
Is Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn still?
They starting? They are. Those three guys to start the season have been their 7, 8, 9. Mm. They're all under 23 years old.
That's
so
not a bad bottom of the order.
A lot of young talent. Walker's one of those guys of the three. I think he's got potentially the highest expectations, at least as a hitter. Mm. And he's trying to find his footing there. But Scott, in terms of just nothing's going to fall in front of him in the outfield. He has so much range. He's always a threat on the base paths. He had 2 infield hits in that series against the Dodgers. He can just beat stuff out. I don't know how you keep a guy like that out of the lineup if you're asking me. And I was a huge fan of Dylan Carlson when he came up. He obviously had that top 50 prospect tag. But at some point, that kind of expires and you're just expected to produce.
Yeah.
And so I think that you just get to the point now where you've got a young 23-year-old. Carlson's going to be coming back. I'm not sure how soon. You're going to have to decide, what do we do with Carlson? What do we do with Scott? And where's that put Newt Bar? And what do you do with, Donovan and all these other guys? Cardinals have a lot of those similar type players that they just got to figure out what their combination is. I think their question is going to be, I really think the pitching will be all right for them. I think it'll be decent. I think it'll be able to keep them in games. They're going to have offensive production, though. They're going to have to. Goldschmidt's going to have to be an anchor. Arenado looks lost right now. I think I heard reports that he's shaking his head a lot in BP and stuff. So you just kind of have to get out of those slumps. But I could see them winning 70 games. I could see them winning 92 games. I could. And in large part, that's because...
Well, you were way more optimistic than social media.
I know,
tell you that.
But in large part, that's because they're in the NL Central. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a weaker division, comparatively speaking. So we'll see. We'll see. Chances maybe in their favor, but who knows?
Long season.
It is. It's early.
You mentioned golf, or do you plan on playing a lot this year?
I hope to. I don't know why. I'm so bad at it.
I have I'm confident my right rotator cuff is torn, which means that's going to hinder trying to factor in surgery on that. But yeah. I'm playing this weekend. I was actually the family's planning on, after the tournament this summer, when we get away for vacation, we're looking at going out west and kind of seeing some states we haven't seen and national parks and whatever. Of course, I'm trying to figure out the best path that gets me to a golf course. And I've got one scouted out. It's a top 100 course, the Rock Creek Cattle Company course in Montana.
Okay.
And so that's my goal. I'll let you know by the time we get to the end of July or August if it was successful. But
that going to be like a road trip?
We will fly. Probably fly to Vegas and then rent a car and head from there and just kind of make a big loop up and fly back home from Seattle. So
I've done a trip similar to that and went kind of the opposite direction. We flew into South Dakota, Mount Rushmore, Black Hills, saw that.
So we did all that in an RV during COVID.
Oh, really?
And that's fun. That was a fun trip.
That's fun. We went there. We went from South Dakota, went over to Wyoming.
Yes. Devil's Tower.
Yeah, up through Gillette, over to Cody.
Okay. You did a whole big loop then.
Yeah, I did did Yellowstone, the Grand Tetons, and then came down to Salt Lake City and flew back from Salt Lake City. Did not think I would enjoy that trip and really did.
We did the whole South Dakota thing in an RV during COVID. That was incredible. But then a couple years ago, we went from Colorado. We went out through Colorado to Moab, Utah, and went south to the Grand Canyon. So we kind of saw the arches and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hit the Bryce Canyon and Zion and Grand Tetons, Jackson Hole and Yellowstone and kind of just make our way through to Seattle. But it's the thing that is crazy, and I want to say I've been in every state. All right.
Okay.
And so we took care of a lot of them when we were in South Dakota, went to Wyoming, even drove across the state line in Montana and used the bathroom just so I could say I've been in Montana. Yeah. So we'll take care of Montana on this trip, but North Dakota is just sitting there. And we didn't go when we were in South Dakota. And I've even looked at Google Maps, even on this road trip I'm planning now, trying to figure out, is there any way to detour into North Dakota and back? And it's like 3 hours out of the way and then 3 hours back everywhere I look. And it's like, it's not worth it. But that's the one state that when we get through all this, that I have no reason to go to North Dakota. So.
One that I would bet, a golf course I bet you would enjoy, and this is probably my favorite place I've ever been in the continental U.S., is if you're starting in Vegas, you could just go straight north. Have you been to Lake Tahoe?
I've never been to Lake Tahoe.
So Edgewood out there at Lake Tahoe, that's where they play that celebrity golf. Okay. And there's a par 3 that's right on the lake that they pull their boats up and stuff. Cool. That's a cool course, but beautiful, beautiful country out there.
Yep. I've never been to Lake Tahoe.
I mean, with where you're saying you're wanting to go, you kind of have to go out of your way to go to the northern part of
it would be a different
Nevada.
direction. Like if we've even talked about at some point, flying into Seattle and just driving south down through Oregon and Northern California, or all that at some point. But anyway, that's kind of
Of course, my trip this year is going to be the honeymoon.
Yes. Where are you going to?
We're going to Cancun.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Going to Mexico. Yep. So that'll be in September. But I haven't been out of the States in a little while since COVID. It's been a while, so looking forward to it. Well, we've come to the end of our time. We slid in some trips, some summer vacation plans there at the end. Are the kiddos ready to get out of school?
Yeah. So they were on spring break last week, and they actually were out the Friday before, then the whole week, and then Monday. So yesterday was their first day back, and of course it was dragging all over. Nobody wanted to get up.
Yeah.
And so
this time of year though, they can smell it. Summer vacation.
It's less than 2 months
it.
until summer break. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, exciting times. Our summers
it's
are
about
very
that
busy.
time of year where the parents. I say this, my wife. I used to be this back in not too long ago, but the making the lunches every morning, it gets old, and so this is the time of year when it's like, oh my gosh, I do not want to see another lunchbox. But
well, it'll be gone before you know it, right? That's what they say.
That's
not that I know.
Don't wish it away.
Not that I don't know. I don't have any kiddos. So.
I'm not sure. I may have made 2 lunches all school year. So since I started at the hall, I don't do it anymore. But I used to help out with the lunches.
2 lunches, and you're tired of seeing lunchboxes.
So.
Yeah, if you've made it this far in the episode, we greatly appreciate you. We've got new episodes coming out every Wednesday. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Leave us a review, share it with your friends. We greatly appreciate you listening in, taking time to hear our thoughts on the latest sports news. We got a lot of big things coming up here at the Hall of Fame. Follow us on social media. Stay up to date on everything happening. We're getting ready to get some renovations going. That is a topic for another day. But again, we'll have new episodes every Wednesday, and we will see you next time on another episode of Where the Game Lives On.